Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad to have you here today because I'm going to be talking about a book that has influenced me a lot in terms of maintaining and creating habits that work. So this book is called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and the premise of this book is that tiny changes in your life can create remarkable results. So an example of this would be practicing 5 words a day. It might not seem a lot from one day to the other, like knowing 10 words or 15 words, but in the span of a year, you've learned almost 2,000 words. And if you don't understand what that means in rough numbers, that is almost the lexicon or the vocabulary that someone who is intermediate in a language has. So it definitely does make a difference, especially if you keep consistent with those habits. So in this video, I just want to talk about the 4 main ideas that this book delineates that I have used for the purpose of language learning and creating my own study plan. So I hope that these ideas help you as well, and I hope that you also create a study plan for yourselves, because my idea, my philosophy in terms of like language learning is that the most important part of your language learning is the practice that you create for yourself, the study plan that you have for yourself. That is really the thing that's going to make a difference between you becoming fluent in the language and stagnating and plateauing for a very long time. So this is what we're going to be doing in this video with, of course, the help of Atomic Habits, and I can't wait. But before we do that, I also want to get in a word from Skillshare, which has sponsored this video.
Skillshare is an online learning community that offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including productivity, language learning, time management, personal development, and more. As a life learner myself, I am always trying to hone my productivity skills. So I recently started a course by YouTuber and podcaster Thomas Frank called How to Build Habits That Last. One of the main takeaways I had from this course was to limit my goal list. I am definitely the kind of person that wants to pursue 10 goals at a time, but as Thomas Frank said in his class, it takes time and deep concentration to make genuine progress in the things I want to pursue. So having a myriad goals does have the negative impact of affecting the depth at which I can pursue something. So head on to Skillshare to get access to thousands of inspiring classes with hands-on projects and feedback from a community of millions. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity.
So before we start, I want to talk a little bit about the book. So the book Atomic Habits basically delineates 4 main ideas that are very important for a person to follow in order for them to stick with their habits. So in other words, this is just for people who want to keep consistent with doing something. And as I've said in my previous videos, I think that consistency is really the key to mastering something. So the 4 things that James Clear suggests to do in order to stick with a habit is to make that habit obvious, to make it attractive, to make it satisfying, and to make it easy. So I'm going to go one by one, and I'm going to explain how I have created or tweaked my study routine in order to include all of these things so that it is something that is easy to stick with and is something that I can do every single day without really thinking about it. So let's start with making a habit obvious. What does that mean?
So the first thing that we need to do in order to make our habits more obvious is to define and determine what they are. So in essence, what are we going to do every single day in order to achieve our long-term goal and be able to master a language, for example? So what I do is that I made a Word document and I created an agenda for myself, and I wrote all of the objectives that I had for many of the categories in my life, including exercise and homework and the grades that I wanted to get in each of my classes. But in terms of language learning, I wrote 2 goals, a long-term goal and a short-term goal. So my long-term goal was to learn 500 words in all of the languages by July of 2022. In order to achieve my long-term goal, I also created a short-term goal where I learn 20 words every day, and that also includes reviewing all of the words that I get wrong and that my spaced repetition system tells me that I should practice.
So in order to make a goal obvious, it's essential for you to define what it is, to tell yourself exactly what you're going to do and sort of like make an outline for yourself. So it's not enough to say, I want to practice a little bit of French, or I want to learn a language, or I'm going to practice my Italian every day. It's important for you to outline what that means. So instead of saying I'm going to learn a little bit of this language every day, say I'm going to practice 5 new words in Italian every single day. I am also going to translate a song from Italian to my native language every Tuesday, and I'm going to review my vocabulary on Saturday. So that is something that it's really going to allow you to do stuff with inertia, because you have a plan and you have the exact steps that you have to follow, so you don't even have to think about it, and it's going to come very easily the more you do it. So the second thing that we need to do in order to make a habit stick is to make it attractive. So this basically means that we need to pair our habit or our practice with a habit that we already enjoy. So this can be environmental. So for example, grabbing a cup of tea or grabbing your favorite snack and eating it, or drinking your tea at the same time that you're doing your language learning, or it can be a mind shift. Personally, for me, it is a mind shift. Something that I always look forward to in a day as an introvert is to have some time with myself. So I know that when I am learning languages, that is a time for me to be with myself and to be kind of like in my woman cave. And I think of that time not as a time when I'm working or when I'm doing something difficult, but as a time for me to freshen up before I get back into the extrovert world. But another thing that I also like to do to make my language learning more attractive is, as you probably know if you've been watching my YouTube channel for a long time, is to pair that habit of learning languages with things that I already enjoy. So of course I learn languages the traditional way. I learn languages at university and I take classes, but I also watch a lot of videos, and I also glean a lot of my vocabulary from watching YouTube videos and from watching movies on Netflix. So I always try to make the sources from which I glean vocabulary as engaging and entertaining and educational as well as possible, so that I can entertain myself and at the same time learn something from that entertainment. Third thing that we need to do in order to make a habit stick is to make that habit as easy as possible. So one of the things that has truly guaranteed my success in being consistent with my habits is to have digital flashcards on my phone. The reason why this makes it so easy for me to stick with my habits is because every single time I wake up, I can just grab my phone and go to that app and review my flashcards digitally. And if it's not in the morning, I can just be on the go or at a line at the cafeteria and review my flashcards right then and there on my phone. So I think that having language material as accessible to you as possible is absolutely key. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have digital flashcards on your phone, but it could possibly be carrying a book in your target language in your backpack at all times. This is just going to guarantee that every single time that you get the urge to practice a language, you have the right material right then and there with you in order to be able to do that. So in essence, this is just going to make it easy for you to be able to stick with your goals. Another thing that makes it super easy for me to stick with my goals is to make those goals easy. So as I said in the beginning, I try to practice 20 words every single day in total. That is because right now I am in finals week and I'm also trying to apply to grad school. So I have tweaked my language learning routine from learning 10 words a day in each language to separating the languages that I know in 2 groups and alternating between the first and second group and learning 20 words in total for those languages. So I'm just learning 5 words a day for 4 languages. That obviously just makes it realistic for me to stick with that goal, because right now when I'm in school and I'm doing all of these things, it's not really realistic for me to keep up with the pace of my language learning routine when I was in the summer and in vacation and I wasn't really doing that much. So the takeaway is to make your language learning resources as accessible and as available to you as possible, and to make your goals realistic. Now, the last thing that I do in order to stick with my language routine is to reward myself at the end. For you, it can be something more tangible like a snack or listening to your favorite song every single time that you complete your desired habit. But for me, it's just checking things off of my list. For some reason, that gives me so much joy, and I have actually an app that I have downloaded on my phone that allows me to do that digitally. So this past few days, I have been doing that with this calendar app that you can also get in the App Store. Those are all of the 4 things that I wanted to talk about in this video, and all of the things that have really helped me to create a study routine that allows me to be consistent with my language studies, and that has really allowed me to make a lot of progress in terms of the languages that I'm trying to learn. So next week I'm going to make a follow-up to this video where I'm going to take you throughout my day from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, so that you guys can see these habits in practice. If you think that this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up so that the YouTube algorithm can recommend it to other people. And in the comments, I want you to tell me what your language learning habits are, and if possible, delineate a study routine for us. That would be very helpful, I think, for myself and for other people in order to get more ideas. But that is all for today. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video, and I also hope that this tips are helpful for you to create your own study plan. Subscribe, like this video, and I will see you next week. Bye guys.